Uh, Sorry, Ricardo, I sent you a request for sharing my screen.
Yes, it's
Okay, I think now I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Can you see my presentation?
yes,
Okay,
yes, please tell.
perfect. So thank you, Ricardo, for organizing this meeting series on the development that we have done within T5.5. So today with me there is Cipriano from Agrilife, my colleague, that will help me probably in the QI sessions because he is, let's say, the expert and the person that followed the implementation phase of the tool. So basically, I would like to start from the workflow. So we identified an existing tool that is Apex. And based on this, we try to develop another platform, let's say, that work with this one, with Apex, and that is able adding farming practices and mainly the territorial characteristic, such as morphology, such as hydrology and weather station parameters, to calculate by means of payload transfer some ecosystem services. So for who don't know, Apex is an open source model that is developed by the Blackland, Texas. So mainly if it works with the parameters and the soil characteristics in Texas. What we have done during this month in the project, first of all, we have implemented the ecosystem services indicator. For example, the soil erosion control indicator that we will see better after is based on the revised universal soil loss equation. So we downloaded all the maps that provide the parameters in order to use the Rusle equation. After we downloaded the main weather and climate parameters, in this case, I would like to add that historical weather parameters have been collected and added in the platform up to 20 years. We integrated most of the soil maps, for example, soil related to soil topology, digital terrain model, etc. And the model require a very extensive list of crop parameters. So in these cases, we retrieved some parameters from literature review, some parameters were collected in field from measurement, and other from previous projects. So let's jump in the platform. So the platform is constituted by a front end that is very simple. Let's say a user-friendly interface that also a farmer can use. And after there is a backend that is, let's say, the engine where we launch the simulation and all the operation comes. So when you have access to the platform, there is a wizard procedure that you have to follow in order to implement that data. So first of all, you have to select the ecosystem services. You see these 5. You can select just one or all the ecosystem services. After initial simulation data, for example, here is requested when you want to start the simulation, how many years you want to last the simulation, if the field is irrigated, and other information. After there is the area selection, so by means of a drawing tool, you can draw, let's say, the parcel. So let's say if you have an experimental and a plot, you can, of course, draw the exact shape of your parcel. And then there is the sheet related to the farm management. So per each year, you have to insert the management operation based on equipment, fertilizer, irrigation method, and so on. This is just a detail related to what I previously presented, because in this case, for example, you see you have also to specify what kind of machinery in terms of tractor you are using, and etc. Then you have to add soil parameters, so the sock, bulk density, and other specific parameters. And if you don't have some of these parameters, let's say that the platform is able to retrieve these parameters from the maps that we have downloaded inside. Okay, after there is a summary when you can check all the information that you have added in this, let's say, in the wizard procedure, and you can launch the simulation phase that, let's say, it lasts from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, and you will see you will have some results that are the ecosystem services. Now I will explain better. So, for example, this is one, and this is the soil organic carbon stock variation. So, in this case, you have in terms of graphs, graph, but also in terms of number, stock average, cumulative, and let's say trend value. This is another indicator that we thought. It's we call the soil erosion control. In this case, you will see there are different parameters merged in one graph, and mainly you have measurement and estimation about the soil erosion, runoff, and precipitation. Of course, you can select just one. So, for example, in this case, we selected just the water erosion. You can see how the trend applying regenerative practices or sustainable practices, the trend decrease. This is just selecting the surface runoff, and also in this case, you can see how the surface runoff decrease during the year of simulation. In this case, it's been simulated more or less 45 years. This is another ecosystem services. We call it water cycle regulation. And he gave us information about water stored in soil ability to retain water, and deep percolation, always in terms of average, cumulative, and trend values. You can see in details, for example, the deep percolation, how the trend is, for example, simulating that we apply regenerative practices for some years. You can see that generally is decreasing. Another ecosystem services is the nutrient cycle regulation. Mainly, it gave us information about nitrogen loss and nitrogen uptake by the plant. Let's see in detail some parameters. In this case, it's you see the nitrogen loss, how is decreasing during the simulation, or, for example, the increasing of the nutrient uptake by the plant. I think this is the last one ecosystem services that we call climate and greenhouse gases regulation. It is based on nitrous oxide emissions from fertilizer, direct and indirect emission, and based on this value that are, of course, estimated, it calculates the CO2 equivalent emitted in the atmosphere. So how we can use the platform? Basically, we can use, for example, to compare the business as usual with regenerative farming. For example, in this graph, you see There is a comparison between the conventional, the regenerative just by compost application, and the compost application combined with another practice, in this case, mulching and distribution of pruning residues. Another use, let's say that if we take the output from the platform and process them by the use of a GIS software, so extrapolating the data from the platform and using GIS, we can obtain ecosystem services maps. Such in these cases, you can see there are maps of carbon stock, but also of runoff and soil erosion at larger scale. So let's say at living lab scale, for example. And this can be helpful, for example, for policymakers to show them if effectively regenerative practice have an impact on the territory. So we develop a landing page, let's say, so a web-based interface. So if someone is interested, can contact us by this landing page, and we can, of course, simulate it or give some more information to whom interested in this platform. So yes, thank you. I finished.
Yeah, great work, Teo. Thank you. I have questions, but I would like to pass the floor to anyone in the audience if you want to make a question before.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
The parameters are already set on the platform, or because you show us some parameters that you need to put inside, but all the extensive list that you give, you need to put it manually, or what do you do this?
Sorry, Diego, please explain better your question.
So in your presentation, in the first slide, you have already show some inputs data for your platform, some values that maybe are simulated from Texas. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we need to also input these variables to the platform, because maybe there are different terrains from Spain, Italy, and so on, or is the same simulation for all the input data?
Okay. Now I understand. So as you said, it's based on Apex platform, and as I said, Apex work. If you download now Apex, it work with the parameters set in Texas in terms of soil, weather station, and so on. What we have done is to adapt and set the parameters in our living lab. So, for example, the platform works well in Basilicata region because we have collected weather station and climate parameters related to the weather station that are based in Basilicata, and this have been done also with the let's say the maps that retrieve soil characteristics and so on. So at the moment, it works just in our living lab. If you want to improve the platform, let's say expand the platform in other nations, other regions, you have, of course, go to the backend and insert the related parameters that I said.
Okay. Other question is a double question. Is what is the frequency of the measurements, or maybe what is the minimal historical to, for example, some simulation for soil degradation, for example, or other simulation? So minimal historical or frequency of data measurements about.
So maybe Cipriano can assist me, but from what I know, it's better to have long-term data to have better simulation. So when I said that we collected, for example, 20 years climate parameters, and it has been done in order to have, let's say, reliable simulation. So it's better to let's say feed before starting simulation, before the work that we have done. It's better to feed the platform with the long-term data. Yes.
Okay, okay. And the last question is,
Yeah.
do you think it's possible to try to use this platform with more variable data that, for example, allow to other living labs to use it with some sensors or with some automatic data to retrieve all the inputs that you put on the backend that you mentioned?
Okay.
It's easy to adapt it to a most complex platform, but more useful for living labs and so on.
I think that it could be done. It's not so easy because the data that you have to adjust in the platform are a lot, but it could be done. Of course, based on the let's say MRV schemes that we have studied, we thought also how to implement maybe in the future. In order to automatize the input from farming practices by the field node, directly from the field node, the digital field node that some farmer organization already have. And of course, we are thinking how to automatize some operation also in the input data with machine learning. But at the moment, if you want to adjust some parameter characteristic, you have to do it manually.
Okay, thank you, Theo. No more
Yeah, you're
questions.
welcome, Diego. Welcome.
I don't know. Can I ask two questions? I don't know,
Yes.
Ricardo.
Yes, of course, Victor, please.
Okay, first of all, you've shown a whole number of graphs. So a timeline against a value. And every year you have one dot. What is that dot? Is that a data point, or is that a point that was computed by the software and then the curve was drawn through it, or is it a real data point? That was not clear to me.
Sorry, Victor, which dot do you mean?
Well, look at any of your graphs that you presented.
Mm-hmm.
So if you open one.
Yeah. I think I'm not sharing.
So time versus whatever values from water retention or erosion or whatever.
Yeah.
And each year there's one point.
Okay.
And
yeah.
is that point, is that a data point, or is
Yes.
that a modeled point?
No. It's an estimated point, but you have that value, Victor.
But estimated based on what?
On the simulation model that the platform have inside. For example.
See, that's my question. So you're essentially presenting a model. You don't present an MRV. In other words, if you would now take data from your farm and you plot it on these curves, does it match or not?
Okay, I would like to say that, of course, this is a model that can cover part of the MRV scheme, for example, the simulation, because, of course, as you know, an MR scheme can be done by hybrid model. So, for example, going in field and retrieve some data, for example, sampling the soil, and after simulate how the soil increases, for example. Of course, there has been done a calibration of the model So based on the data that we have from Farms for Climate project, but also from previous project, for example, we observed mainly the SOC, how the soil organic carbon measured in field was compared to the one observed by the simulation. And we can say that it works pretty good.
But that would be nice to show. What is pretty good, you know? So by either plotting real data on these curves or make a comparison between modeled and measured.
Okay, you're right, Vikert. We have something now. Maybe we will show you something, and we are still working to improve also the calibration and validation phase.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Now the other question is, well, it's essentially a two-folded question. One is, so you have as input large-scale maps, right? For your topography, your climate, your soils, etc. That's the whole southern Italy, more or less, are on your maps. Now, what is the resolution of those maps? Is that, let's say, a hectare, or is it 10 square meter, or what is it?
Okay, Cipriano can help me. The
resolution, for example, for the Colin land cover is a meter, 10 meter of resolution, maybe.
So
more or less.
10 meter per
meter
resolution.
Yes.
But what they, so is that a satellite-based data? Because it cannot be based on hand sampling a resolution of 10 meters. So it must be satellite-based data that feed the model. Is that correct?
Sono dati da satellite. Sorry,
sì, alcuni sì, sono quelli di Copernicus.
Yes. Sorry,
yes,
Vikert, because this part is followed by Cipriano. He said that, of course, come from Copernicus. So the maps are from satellite imagery.
Also your organic carbon maps.
No, so organic map.
Yes.
Also.
Yes,
Lucas
project.
Lucas from Lucas project.
So we're looking a little bit at, let's say, interpretation of, let's say, satellite imagery, of which we're not so sure how good it is. Huh? And we use that.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, you're using satellite-based derived data as if that is true values. And I was thinking that this presentation would be about a measurement and validation, which is usually done based on samples and not based on indirect measurements from satellites.
Yeah, but let's say that we start, maybe it's something that I did not explain. All the ecosystem services that are estimated, are launched, are based on the SOC value. So there are pedotransfer that take the SOC value and transform that in, let's say, the graphs that we saw. So the SOC value is the one that is collected in field by sampling. The other parameters are taken from maps, and after there is the simulation that the work run.
But indeed, that goes for SOC values of your own farm, but not for the whole map.
Yes, from field, from our experimental field.
Yeah. Okay, great. Now, as you know, Farms for Climate has been set up for smallhold farmers.
Yeah.
Now, is this a tool that helps smallhold farmers, in your opinion?
Okay, good question. In my opinion, can help smallhold farmer to understand how regenerative practices can improve their soil in terms of soil fertility, soil health. Of course, when you go to explain the other ecosystem services, it's better to explain them by, let's say, an agronomist with technicians that help the farmer to conduct the field. But my opinion mainly can be used from farmers organization.
Yeah, that's what I could see. I mean, this is
Yeah.
much larger scale operation, and not for a single smallholder, right? At least, I mean, it's too complicated for a single smallholder.
It's too complicated. I agree with you, but most of the farmers in our area have some technicians, some agronomists inside the farmer that help there to understand some dynamics, to help to conduct the field. So they for sure can better explain the results of this simulation, for example.
Okay, thank you so much.
No,
Very
you're
nice,
welcome,
nice work, really nice.
No. Thank you very much, Vicar.
Anyone else?
Yes, I have a question. Hello.
Hello, Claudia. Sorry, can you? I don't remember you. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Excuse me?
Yeah, just introduce yourself, please.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm Claudia Ramirez. I'm in the University of Salamanca, and I'm part of the AIR, okay?
Yeah.
With Diego.
Okay.
Well, so I have two questions. The first one is, did you make any correlation between the vegetation indices derived from the satellite imaging with the soil parameters?
No, the answer is no.
No. Okay. And the second is the organic carbon data or other parameter should be standardized with the same analysis. For example, if I enter organic carbon data, it should be only from the Walker-Black test, or it doesn't matter?
No. You can. The important thing is that you add the soil organic carbon, so you can use also other method for analyze some. After you have to transform some in SOC, but this is pretty easy, and you can insert your data very easy. In
Okay,
terms
so
of
it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. Sure.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome, Claudia.
Okay, if anyone else want to say, I have some questions too.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just,
sorry.
Sorry, Soraya.
Hi, Soraya.
Yeah, hello. I just would like to comment, and I would like to thank you for this great work. I like it.
Thank you.
And I think it's this great start. Maybe I would like to check if you already make a calibration for this first data. Did you check the accuracy of this simulation for just 1 year and on soil sampling that you done? And if yes, what is the percentage of this accuracy?
Okay, let's say that we started to calibrate the model by mainly with the SOC and the value that the model simulate. And we don't have at the moment a clear graphs that show, but we found that there are pretty good results in terms of the value that are simulated and the value that are measured in field. Of course, we are still working on that in order to improve and to see, of course, because we know that the calibration phase it's really important to understand if the simulation is good or not.
Yeah, and you measure only soil carbon. Did you look to the NDVI to if you have an agri-forest or something like that?
No,
Or
no,
you
no.
mainly
Mainly on SOC, because as I said, it's is most important parameters for the other let's say value and ecosystem services that we simulated. So we focus for the moment just on that value.
okay. Maybe you can put this in your mind for the future. Because I think it is a good start. Also, if you included some parameter like pH, like water consumption and others to have a comprehensive tool, I think it will be good for the future of this research.
No, totally agree with you. Thank you for all the suggestion. I would like to add that we are measuring the field also by Gulf per millimeter, the soil infiltration, let's say the hydraulic conductivity. So we want to also calibrate, for example, the hydraulic conductivity, because as you said, as you saw, the platform is able to give some result in terms of deep percolation of water retained in the soil. So it will be nice, and we will do in the future to see if the hydraulic conductivity measuring field it's close to the one that is simulated.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Toraya.
Yeah, okay. Most of the questions I had was already said. For me, I just want to remark that this whole calibration thing is crucial for the whole model to be relevant for future use. And so my question is, when you show several graphs about the different ecosystem service, the starting date of these graphs were 2013 and some 2017. So I just wondering if for the simulation of this graph you had to necessarily retrieve this old data, so then the data is real, and then for a certain point it started simulation, or how did it work? And then, which is combined with this question, is then later you showed us the kiwi plantation graph are related to the SOC stock, but then that graph only start from 2022. So just to understand why that there was no the previous data also in that graph in particular, and then I come with more questions.
Okay, good question, Ricardo. No, I would like to say that maybe in some graphs you have noticed that when you start a simulation, there is an initial peak. So it means that in the first year of the simulation, it seems that model trying to adapt the data, and after you have the correct simulation. So is that the way? Because normally we start the simulation some years before, for example, 5 or 6 years before, when you want to see, let's say, a simulation that give more or less accurate data. In the case of the SOC of the kiwi fruit, maybe you have seen the graphs. It's a little bit different from the one that the software give, because we retrieved the data and we processed the data in Excel in order to start directly the simulation in 2022. There is because it's the start of the Funds of Climate project. I don't know if I answered to your question.
No, the point is how much the data from the past is based on an estimated number, computed number, or how much you could already validate that. For example, if you had some soil samplers from the field historically that you did for different purpose, agronomic purpose, that you have this information, how much this could help enhancing the computation process for the future, and how much this can also, if you do a ex post modeling of this information, how much you can validate that with any sample you had already collected from the field since 2013, for example, if that was the case, but I assume that was not the case.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay, and then now it's a more like interpretation from your side. Yeah, when you showed us the QE simulation, the conventional trend was to increase the SOC stock, and that's I mean, generally we see that this is not always the case, that conventionally it's leading to some sort of soil losses that are also related to the carbon losses. So do you have any clue why the conventional is also a positive trend?
Yeah, in fact, it was strange, but it could happen. It could happen that it depends on the level of the SOC the fields is in that moment, and on the other parameters, for example, climate parameters, I suppose. And in this case, we saw that is increasing, but less that the regenerative farming. Do you want to add something?
No, depends from meteo climate parameter and soil parameter.
Yeah, the point that
Percentage of
you
clay,
said
percentage of
at the
silt.
beginning, as I suppose, yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. Okay, and then my last question is, have you planned any campaign for sampling the field from now until the end of the project, or if you collected any data from the field? And if the answer is yes, then I have another question.
Yes, we have collected some campaign, yeah.
Oh, yes, no, yeah, but then like this is I'm not so familiar with the kiwi plantation. I don't know how intensive is the plantation itself. I like the distance between trees, but then the question is if you apply any particular protocol of sampling, that you take the assumption of the soil organic carbon can vary according to the distance from the tree. Because we saw that especially in Spain, that as close to the trunk, then you have a higher carbon accumulation due to many different aspects. But if you go to the interrow, the lane between the trees, which can be 7 meters, then you have a depletion of the soil organic carbon, and then you need to have some sort of protocol that can correct the stock per hectare. Otherwise, you are over or not overestimated somehow, if you depending on where you get the sample. I don't know if you took these things into consideration, or if it doesn't apply to the QE because of the density of trees.
No, it's correct. Let's say that for the soil sampling campaign, we follow the GRC protocol that mainly it's a randomized soil sampling. But of course, since, for example, we apply compost just on the row where is the plant, of course, we make the sampling, for example, on the row, but also on the interrow to see what are the differences in terms of stock. So mainly this was the protocol, the GRC randomized protocol, but replicated for row and interrow in order to see the differences, because there are differences.
Okay. Does anyone have any further question? Okay, then I will stop recording. Thank you, Theo.